Hey guys, Tyler here. This is my first YouTube video ever, and I'm super nervous. I'm also kind of awkward, so I apologize in advance for weird facial expressions or awkward pauses. So today we are going to talk about fat, your cellulite, your stretch marks, your body rolls, potentially anything that has to do with fat. We're going to talk about it. When trying to decide what I want to talk about, I kept drawing a blank. And a friend of mine suggested that I, talk about cellulite and stretch marks and, why they're so negatively stigmatized. I was unsure about it because I've never actually, been fat, and I was afraid to touch on a topic that I didn't know too much about. But then Facebook gave me one of those memories that I wish I never saw. It was a photo of me from about 2 years ago, and I was shocked at myself. I was grossly skinny. But I remembered when I took that photo that I felt disgusting. I wasn't happy with what I saw in the mirror. I would list literally everything that I wanted to change about my body. And that's super unhealthy to do. My mental health was not the greatest. I had terrible confidence in my body. And on top of that, I started making decisions that affected my physical health. I remember eating less, trying to work out more, and I just still was so unhappy. Keep in mind, I'm about 5'5", and I've always been a small person. But in this photo, I could see my hips underneath my jeans, my hip bones. But now, I look I look a lot healthier. I gained weight and maintained a healthy weight. I still work out, but more so to keep myself toned. However, I do have stretch marks and cellulite now, which most people don't believe. There seems to be this idea that, oh, you're thin, there's no way you have fat. It's not the case. Everyone has fat. Mine happens to be along the backs of my thighs, and then my stretch marks are along my hips and my butt. So then once I saw that memory, was like, oh, maybe I know more about, the negative stigmatization of fatness. So then I started kind of researching a little bit more. And then questions, popped in my head okay, why is fat so stigmatized? Why are social standards, constructed around the idea that you have to be thin to be beautiful? And then it's also why are people told you have fat, so you need to be hidden? You're disgusting. As I researched it, majority of the points are that people who have fat or have visible cellulite or stretch marks, whatever, apparently they are a disgusting sight, and that they should be hiding themselves, that they should be, that you're automatically unhealthy, that you lack self-control and self-respect, and your morals are wrong because you're allowing yourself to be seen in public with fat. Again, everyone has fat. So it just didn't make sense to me in my head. So then I started backtracking. Okay, where is this feeling of disgust coming from? Where is it rooted? Where is your root idea that you have to be thin? So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to break it down a little bit. We are going to talk about the social construction of the body, as well as the performance of disgust. So society tells you one thing, so you're going to feel a certain thing. So, step 1, understanding the social construction of the body. Judith Lorber and Patricia Yancey Martin, they have an article called The Socially Constructed Body. In it, they quote, "Members of a society construct their bodies in ways that comply with accepted views of masculinity and femininity." Keep in mind that keyword of accepted. So it's this idea that you have to look a certain way, you have to dress a certain way, act a certain way, all based on your gender. So it's any chance that you break that standard, society's going to be negative about it. And keeping in mind that female beauty standards are often placed on this idea that you have to be thin. So then you get into the issue of unhealthy thoughts and performances on your body to try and attempt to reach that idea of beauty. Judith and Patricia describe this as the transformation of physical bodies to fit cultural ideals of feminine beauty and masculine strength. So this is kind of where you start to see the increase in working out, exercising, cosmetic surgery. It's literally changing your physical body to meet the cultural standards of those around you. We're also going to talk here, or mention, words are hard. Carissa Butler Wall has an article. It's called Risky Measures, Digital Technologies of Child Obesity. In it, she quotes, rather than promoting health, anti-obesity discourse often further stigmatizes fatness. So it's suggesting that any kind of fatness on your body is unhealthy. That's wrong. People have fat. It's part of your body. So then you get into the idea of what Judith and Patricia mention as lacking self-respect and self-control. So because you have cellulite, or you have stretch marks, or you are just fat, there are people who are fat and that is a thing. Nothing wrong with it. But society looks at that as, oh, you're actually unhealthy, which then means you're lacking self-control in what you're eating, in your exercise, or your lifestyle itself, that you lack these things because you're allowing yourself to be fat. Again, that's wrong. Anyways, Carissa actually made a very similar point as well. She said, fatness signifies a moral failing on the part of the individual. That's not the case at all. I mean, I have fat on my body, but I have a fairly healthy lifestyle. So again, having fat does not mean that you are unhealthy or that you lack self-control. That's all rooted in the idea that you have to be thin to be beautiful. And that's taking it, again, all the way back to how society's telling you. The media, your friends, maybe even your family, you're telling you that, hey, you should lose weight. You're too fat. You weigh too much. You're disgusting. All of those things come from what society is telling them to feel. So now that's kind of where you get into the idea of, okay, so how is this feeling perpetrated? Where does it start from? Sarah Ahmed has an article called The Performativity of Disgust. In it, she quotes, disgust is deeply ambivalent, involving desire for or an attraction towards the very objects that are felt to be repellent. So again, when you think back to how society tells you what your body is or what your body should look like, that social construction of it then influences the way people are going to feel towards something that breaks that standard. So they're told, okay, thinness is beauty. So they see something that is not thin, they're going to feel disgusted to it. Because they're like, you're breaking that standard. We don't like it. It's that resistance almost that they're not willing to see that there are different beauties. Everybody is beautiful. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. So it's kind of recognizing that, like, okay, hey, because you aren't thin, you're breaking that standard. I'm uncomfortable with it, so I feel disgusted. That's kind of where you get into it, where it's actually performance. It isn't just something that you automatically feel. You have to understand your relation to the thing that you're feeling disgusted about. And that brings you back to the social construction of the body. And then you get back to, like, the idea that if you're fat, you lack self-control and self-morals and so on and so forth. When you combine society's idea of beauty with that performance of disgust, you are influencing the people who have fat or who are fat or have visible cellulite to feel shame. And shame isn't even really a real emotion. You feel shame when someone tells you to feel it. So society's telling you that you have to be thin to be beautiful. but you aren't. You may not be thin, or you might have the visible stretch marks. So then you feel shame knowing that other people have this, disgusting look or disgusting view of you based on society's construction of the female body. And then that shame further influences your desire to lose weight, to exercise more, to eat less, to find, cosmetic surgery that might, again, literally transform your body into that idea of beauty. And it's so unhealthy. Mentally unhealthy, physically unhealthy. And it's sad to think that that's what society is telling you. So I hope I made that, a little easier to understand. I feel like body positivity is definitely something that people need to be more educated about. Understanding that you might be uncomfortable with someone's fatness because you're being told that you have to be thin. And so it's understanding that, okay, we're two different people in the same society. Why are we told that we have to feel this? Why are we told that we have to look this certain way? And then making, active decisions for yourself in your mind to try and stop your prejudices, to try and stop that instant negative thought. It takes work. It took me 2 years to finally be confident in my body. And I've always been thin, so learning and dissecting this a little bit more is really eye-opening for myself, because now I'm able to understand why it is I felt so uncomfortable with my body, why it is that I thought I was fat. And it took a lot of mental work to really break those habits. So that's kind of what I ask of you guys today. So if you recognize that instant disgust with yourself or with someone else, stop it. Stop that thought, backtrack, ask yourself why you felt that, and then grow from it and influence those around you to do the same thing. Societal standards won't change until you talk about it, until you recognize that there's a problem with it. So talk about it, and hopefully you'll see a positive change in the world around you. All right, well, hope that wasn't too bad for my first video. I've recorded it so many times, but I hope you liked it, and feel free to share it. I might be, a little nervous, but it's something the world needs to see. Thanks, guys.